How we doing, YouTube? Are you doing well? You good? Are you fine? I certainly hope so. And welcome back to the series that we've been doing. Carrying on our look at these old Star Wars games. We've done Dark Forces, we've done Dark Forces 2, and because it seems like a good idea to just group everything together, we are continuing with the series of doing Outcast as the next one in the series, technically speaking. There is an expansion in between that, which is Mysteries of the Sith, where we carry on from Dark Forces 2, and you get a bit of play as Mara Jade, but I figured we would stick with the whole Katarn route just now, which is Outcast. So we're gonna be doing Dark Forces 2, Outcast, Academy, and then we'll potentially go back to Mysteries of the Sith, which is something I have never ever played. So that could be interesting. So I feel like I need to actually have a bit more time to sit down and play with that, rather than a couple hours to get some necessary footage. However, that's gone off on a tangent. We're here for Outcast. So, we should look at this in that structured way that we did in the last one, which was we looked at the gameplay, we looked at the graphics, looked at the production value, the sound, all that kind of element, and then kind of summed it up. So, I suppose with the graphics on this one, it is better. So they used, they actually switched developers. So Dark Forces and Dark Forces 2 was developed by LucasArts, as well as published by LucasArts. Outcast and Academy are published by LucasArts, but they're developed by Raven Software, which may be a company you know. I would hope so. They've done a few things recently. At the time, though, not so much. They produced good shooters back then. And Outcast is not that much different. It uses their Quake 3 engine to be able to sort of produce the gameplay. And the shooting feels faster than Dark Forces 2, but not necessarily in a better way. It's certainly quicker. I had to reduce my sensitivity because, wow, they were just zooming as I was trying to shoot things. But you can tap them in the face and they die. It takes 2 or 3 in the chest. Certain officers, it's a lot more than that. And it expanded on the lightsaber combat from the previous one as well. That was a good addition with that engine. Your graphics that comes along with that engine, they improved quite dramatically. So we obviously showed in the last video Katarn's character model that's kind of polygons and slightly smooth. In this, it's an actual person. Like, that's a legit person that you can see in this one. You know, Kyle's got facial hair and detail to him. Actual detail. You can tell that is a person. The graphics have improved a good chunk. And there's a time difference that's a bit more substantial than there was between Dark Forces 1 and 2. Dark Forces 2 was done in 97, this one was done in 2002. So we've got 5 years in between for them to have improved a few things, which they did do. So the graphics actually still kind of hold up, because we've gotten slightly more recent. Now it's just 20 years old, which makes me feel really fucking old, because I remember playing this in 2002. It does not seem like 20 years ago. However, it clearly is, because that's how time works. But the graphics still hold up. Are they these near beautiful, realistic things that we have nowadays? No, but they're still quite good. They tried to mop up a few things here and there with the cutscenes. I'm not convinced they even did cutscenes particularly. They have dialogue between characters and things in between levels, but it's still all done using game footage rather than they tried to make something realistic as a cutscene. It's still in-game. And it's kind of annoying. You can skip it, but if you die during the level, there's like one checkpoint maybe somewhere through the level. You have to redo that cutscene. If you didn't get to that checkpoint thing, you have to start right back at the beginning of the level and rewatch that cutscene because it's part of the level. But again, from a graphic standpoint, it does do quite well. In terms of the gameplay, as I said, they did expand on their lightsaber combat. So it was done, as I said, by LucasArts. And that lightsaber combat was kind of clunky. It was just, meh, meh. And that was it. That was pretty much your two motions. With a glowing triangle. And you had some force powers. In this, they've upped the kind of fluidity of the actual lightsaber combat. It swings much better, you've got the lightsaber deflections, and they expanded the force powers. So you have it's pretty much the same kind of powers, but there's more finesse about using them, I suppose. And they integrated your force powers into these puzzles for the levels. So you get your lightsaber, level 6, but you have to go through 5 levels without a lightsaber. And you're kind of just blasting your way through. And their level design is convoluted. So Dark Forces 2, it was fairly linear. Like, this is where you are, this is where you need to go, you can work your way through it, there's some puzzles that you need to clear, but you know where you're going. In this, they obviously had, with a different engine, a slightly better engine, they had a greater capacity to do things. And they designed shit that is not obvious. Some might even say completely hidden, and you're still expected to figure it out. One of the levels had me needing to drop onto a pipe, which then retracts, you jump down onto a ledge, you go into the hole where the pipe just came from. Except for this pipe very slowly extends, vents some gas, then goes back in for a while. It's also in a dark spot off a ledge at the ass end of the facility. It's not something you would just find. But that's where you had to go. You had to go, wait for it, drop down, wait for it to come in, you drop again. But if you missed it, if you didn't see that, how the fuck are you supposed to know it was there? Because I didn't. Google was my friend when I was trying to get the footage for this. Because, holy fuck, I'd still be on that level. You're looking for doors, you're looking for all sorts of stuff. Yeah, no. It's a secret extending pipe. Which is, just a stupid design. And there's been a few of them where it's like you need to go into multiple different places to get codes or keys or whatever. But this door's locked. You need to find this, you need to do that, and you need to go back to this section to get a bit for this section, to be able to go to this section, to be able to get to this bit. It's like, you're making it complicated for the sake of making it complicated. There's not a need for you to have done as much as you have beyond you could, and you felt the need to step up. I mean, the story's okay. It's a pretty by the numbers thing. So in Dark Forces 2, we were trying to stop Jeddick. He was looking for a place called the Valley of the Jedi, where the Jedi souls go. He intends to absorb their power and become a god-like thing. We stop him. We are the hero. In this one, Kyle has forsaken the ways of the Force. He wants nothing to do with it, and therefore is not a Jedi. And at the end of level 5, you find what looks like a Force-sensitive Velociraptor. Not quite understanding why there's a dinosaur with a lightsaber, but there's a dinosaur with a lightsaber and a Force power who kind of smacks you around a little bit and then kills your girlfriend. And fueled by rage, Kyle wants his powers back to go and, get ragey with him. So he goes to the Valley of the Jedi and he absorbs the power. It's not a level, it's just a cutscene. He just goes, stands in some light, has a brief chat with his dad, who's there as a Force ghost, but the dialogue is very badly done. It's cut together quite rapidly, so it doesn't flow at all.
A few moments later.
Are you all right?
I'd forgotten what it was like.
It will become familiar to you again in time. What will you do now?
And then, he's got it. And then the next level is you have to go get your lightsaber. But Luke wants to make sure that you can still use the Force before he gives you your lightsaber back. So you go through some trials. And it's some puzzle stuff that just involves you testing out your Force powers. And then you get your lightsaber. Okay, cool. and then you go off on your adventure again to go and find the Force-sensitive T-Rex, whose name is actually Dasan, but he's a Force-sensitive T-Rex. He's the bad guy. He's got his apprentice, and you're trying to stop him. But it turns out he was trying to get to the Valley of the Jedi. So the whole point of killing Kylo's girlfriend, Jan, was so that he'd get the location of the Valley of the Jedi, which he got. But it actually turns out that he's wanting the Jedi Temple on Yavin 4. So later in the game, he then goes there, which you discover by fighting his apprentice and beating her. And then we have that light side, dark side dynamic. If you went light side, you don't kill her. If you go dark side, well, you can do it. And you then, you know that it's the temple that they want. You go there, you fight, you stop them. You inform Dasan that he is beaten. So he attacks you. And you beat him. And you complete the game. It's a pretty by the numbers sort of thing. Jedi want to stop things. Darkseid wants to do things. Can't let them do things. Must stop them. Star Wars. It does play pretty well, as I said, but the story is, still kind of the same. And those first few levels where you're running through without your lightsaber, without the Force powers, is like, you went through all of it to get the lightsaber at the end of the last one. Why would he have just forsaken it? There's no explanation to it. He just did. He just gave up using the Force. What kind of madman just gives up the Force? But there's no explanation to it. He wants to put the Valley of the Jedi incident behind him, and that's it. He put the incident behind him, he gave up the Force, he gave Luke his lightsaber to look after. Okay. So, for no reason whatsoever, we just have to start this level without our Force powers, without our lightsaber, regain it, because, and then go fight the bad guy. Alright, fair enough. And I suppose this probably comes down to the fact that they changed developers. The developers want to do something a little bit different. They want to be progression with the character. They wanted you to have to actually work your way up to having the Force powers, rather than just give you your godly abilities. And I suppose by sending Kyle back to just being a mercenary, they kind of take him to a way that you do have to progress him. But as I said, why would you give up the Force? If he had that, there was no reason for him to give it up, so why would he? And then he just goes back and he gets it, and there wasn't any level, there wasn't any kind of difficulty, there was just that the story goes for. And they also are introducing this odd concept with the whole Dasan is basically taking crystals and trying to infuse the Force with infuse the crystals with the Force and then put them into people and turn people into Force users when they don't have the Force, which are his reborn. And that's basically your excuse to have to fight some Dark Jedi throughout the game. So, moving on to the sounds and the kind of production that they did with this game. Obviously, the live action stuff, they either felt like it didn't work or Raven just didn't want to take that as a direction or whatever. But they basically just scrapped it. There's no live action cutscenes. It's all done using the game footage, as I said. They have conversation between it. It is using the game footage, and that's what you get. That's what your cutscenes are. So I suppose to an extent they stepped back the production, but the graphics were improved that they possibly didn't have to do this live action thing. And the sounds are now nice and clear. It's slightly more modern, that you don't need to be worrying, I suppose, about whether or not it's pixelated and fuzzy and too compressed. You get that option of it being nice and clear. And it does come across really well, and you get all that ambient noise. They can play music when you're in the cantina. You can get all the weather effects and whatnot. So there is a step up there from the production value, and at the same time, they obviously realised that there wasn't a need to do live action stuff. So they stepped away from that, but still had the stuff to push that story in between the levels. The bit that you're not playing, there's reasons to it, and it kind of moves the story along, and also glances over some plot points. So when this was released in 2002, critics kind of went, it's alright. Players, on the other hand, really liked it. It did do very well. And I can see why on both. It's, as a Star Wars game, it's done by a different developer, it plays pretty well. Even now, you can go back to this still works. This is still a fun game to play. But it does have its problems compared to what Dark Forces 2 did. Dark Forces 2 felt much better to me than this did. And the last level that I got to, in the cantina, you step out, there are snipers fucking everywhere covering these doors. And you can't block those shots. So you're just getting laid into by snipers from everywhere, which you can't avoid. You just have to keep spamming force speed and bolting. And every time you get into a room where it's safe, there's two guys up high with thermal detonators raining hell down on you. So you have to step back outside to where the snipers are. But you can't shoot them because they're so far away. You have to use your own sniper rifle, which has you standing still because you can't use a scope and move. Don't know who designed that element of the gun, but it's fucking stupid. So it is very different and a lot more hectic, as opposed to once you got the lightsaber, you are massively overpowered, which to an extent I feel is how it should be in the Star Wars universe. Jedi and Sith are much stronger than some gun-toting gangster. In this, not so much. Maybe that was just me though, but Kyle was getting his ass kicked by quite a lot of them. He did not have a fun time with me. However, it does play well, it is fun, but compared to Dark Forces 2, I don't think it plays as well. And from memory, looking back, it doesn't play as well as Jedi Academy does. Jedi Academy felt better. And I look forward to playing that one again. This one, as I said at the end of the Dark Forces 2 video, I would go back to Dark Forces 2 and finish playing that. This one, I probably won't. I got to the point I needed to for the footage, and it's like, you know what? I'm good with that. I might go back and finish, but it's not like a strong urge to compared to some of the others. So, yeah. I suppose that's where Outcast is. It ranks below Dark Forces 2, but above Dark Forces 1. So far, it's 2 out of 3, ranked second out of 3 of them. Yay? But it's probably worth paying a visit, seeing how you get on with it, because it does have that good lightsaber combat. It does play a little bit smoother, but the level design, they went over the top. And they put stuff into it that just didn't work for me. Didn't work. It was overcomplicated. There was no point in having it the way they did. But I look forward to Jedi Academy next week. We'll be playing through that one, which I know, I remember from playing it, has a different level system. It's got a different character. It's got slightly more customization, more force, things like that. It will be a good one to play. So of course, if you see this and you like it, let me know. Comment on anything that you feel like you remember or would disagree on. And yeah, you should definitely subscribe and drop by the live streams and whatnot. Because any releases with the Lego Star Wars and Force Unleashed, no, Fallen Order. With Fallen Order 2 coming out soon, the pair of them will be getting played on stream, as well as the likes of Knights of the Old Republic, things like that. So you should stop by. We will definitely play them when they come out. And yeah, hang out with us. Until then, you have a good one, and we will see you next week for Jedi Academy. Bye.